All right, I will call the meeting to order at 7:01. First on the agenda, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Should be good, right? Okay. Being none, we'll move to privilege of the floor for anyone who would like to speak generally. We will have, I guess we don't have any public hearings today, so. Go ahead, Ted.
Hi, thanks. My video isn't working. I have nothing much to say except that I'm glad to see that Kathy Darrow is considering granting an easement to the land trust.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right, approval of the minutes from March. Make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Carolyn? I have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Oh, does that mean?
I don't think.
Oh, we can't close
Yeah.
it, right? Okay, so we'll have to move that to next month. Okay. Forgot about that. All right, town board liaison report. Leslie?
There's nothing going on.
Nothing. That's not what it looks like.
Just to thing to say, this is from me, not from the whole board, but the last little squib I saw today was somebody on the Durfee Hill, some Facebook community page, saying that Joel is not willing to step aside or whatever with the hiring of the bookkeeper. Are you guys all familiar with that?
Mhm.
Well, the scenario, because you're familiar with what you've heard. I just want people to know that what he actually said to the town board was that he recognizes that for him to make the appointment could be seen, and in fact it's seen by a substantial number of people as in fact being one in which I have a conflicting interest. I will respect the opinion of the ethics board and act accordingly. So I just want people to know that. We have a special meeting tomorrow to deal with the credit card bill, and tacked onto that is talking about the hiring of the bookkeeper position. So if anybody wants to actually hear things that are going on, you can attend. That's it.
Okay. Good. Yeah, you were here last month, right?
I was.
Okay, we couldn't approve the minutes because Colleen was not, but we can go back to that.
I approve.
Second.
Okay, we'll go backwards to approval of the minutes.
What was the date?
Um,
do we have-
Judy, and I seconded. Yep.
I wasn't here either.
Oh, you weren't here either. Okay, never mind. We're moving into next month. Okay, forget approval of the minutes, not happening. Okay, we will move on to development review.
Oh, did you have more to update? Oh,
First on the agenda is 400 Gunderman Road. This is on the dual, I guess, Finger Lakes Land Trust on behalf of Catherine Darrow, sorry. Darrow, thank you. I need pronunciations in some of these. Okay, so subdivision of 124 acre lot into 2 lots. Which we will be looking to declare lead agency today, review the application, and then schedule public hearing.
Great, and so Kate Riley with Finger Lakes Land Trust is
Okay.
here, and Kate, maybe you want to just give a little overview of the project and what Finger Lakes Land Trust is doing?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. We are receiving a donation of land, so this is actually not a conservation easement, but it is in the name of conservation. The subdivision will grant, I'm gonna look up the total acreage on the survey I have, but land along the headwaters of Lick Brook. And, you know, at this moment, we don't have connectivity to our Kingsbury Woods Preserve, which is directly north, but not contiguous with Kathy's property. So at this point, we're just looking for approval of the subdivision so that she can donate the land to us.
Okay,
Then pull up the thing.
yes.
Working in teams is always a little challenging, and it's not used to more PDFs. Let's see.
Doing Teams and Zoom at the same time, you're brave.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so we're just gonna keep it here, but basically, yeah, so this is Gunderman Road. Right before it bends on the Jersey Hill. And having a 50-foot road frontage, there's no road frontage requirement in rural one, but Kate and I talked about that. I think maybe the initial intention was maybe to just carve out a landlocked parcel. But the just to keep a little road frontage would be, the state requires a minimum of 15 feet for a building lot. I mean, you could sort of argue it that maybe you could go forward as a landlocked parcel. This road frontage though connection might just allow, if there's ever future public access maybe back there, you know, it could just allow that too.
Okay.
But yeah.
So there's not really a strong intention of access right now, it's just for future proofing, it's like. Okay.
Yeah, if I could just say, I think ideally we would love to have more access, if it's just a hike through there. But, and we're, you know, hoping to maybe partner with landowners in the future if they're ever looking to sell properties that would connect us to Kingsbury Woods. And I think the other thing with the 50-foot flagpole is that for administrative access, we like to have the legal right to enter any property that we own. So because we don't have access from any other point, we just wanted to be extra careful, extra safe with that.
Good.
Is that wedge kind of
I don't
triangular in
know.
the back? Is that just trying to expand the boundary?
Yeah, you know, there, if not shown on this map, there is a boundary between the two northernmost properties. We're kind of trying to increase the odds that if any property north of this did go on the market, we would have the ability to kind of snake through and connect. So there's a boundary line that's just kind of just east of that triangle. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? It's pretty straightforward and beneficial to me. So if we would like to move forward with declaration of lead agency, we have a draft resolution.
I'll motion to declare lead agency.
I'll second.
And actually, wait, before the vote, Hey, so that's actually a good clarification. So it's not a conservation easement. How would you describe it? You said it's donated, it's
It's a
donated
donation.
land. So in this resolution that I've drafted for the lead agency, not that it really matters for seeker, but just to, as part of the record of that, this
Oh,
40.7 acres is being placed in a,
So we'll be owning it in fee title, which just means that it would be like any of our preserves. It's owned by the land trust, and because of the way that our land trust functions, our mission is to conserve. So it'll be perpetually conserved, similar to a land trust, except that the land trust, or I'm sorry, similar to an easement, a conservation easement, but instead of Kathy retaining ownership, the land trust will own it.
great, so what I'm gonna do is just, instead of it saying, that second whereas,
Yep.
just to say 40.7 acres to be owned by the Finger Lakes Land Trust. Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Freiberg,
Yes.
Benucci,
Yes.
and Maha.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I'll make a motion for scheduling public hearing for May.
A second?
And then before the vote, I just want to confirm though, Kate, is that realistic that you can have the final plat that's, is that hard to hear me?
There's just a little bit of, I can hear you, but it's like gargled. It's better if you're back over there. Yeah.
I can use this microphone, much more easier. Will you have the final plat ready, a couple weeks in advance of the May meeting, which I think we had talked about a date that,
Oh, yeah, we can make it June if we have.
what I'm trying to, get at is that the planning board can schedule a public hearing for May,
Okay.
May 20th, but if that's, and then getting the final plat, you know, to me, at least a couple weeks in advance, so by the 6th, is that doable?
You're saying by the 6th of May, you need the final plat. Yeah, so I have a preliminary survey. I have some edits, and I know our surveyor is out of town for a little bit, but I think that should be doable. And I can let you know if I can't meet that May 6th deadline. Today's the 15th. I think that should be fine. I think 2 weeks should be fine.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
That vote.
All right,
And then who made the motion?
I made the motion.
I seconded.
Bergman,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Freiberg,
Yes.
Benucci,
Yes.
and Maha.
Yes,
Motion passed.
okay. So we will hopefully see you in May, Kate, with the final plat.
Yeah,
And
that's great. Thank you.
anything else we need for May? I don't think we use environmental assessment for.
We can do the environmental, yeah, then,
Then, okay, yep, okay. All right, sounds good. All right, I guess we, yeah, I don't think I had any questions on that one, but I'll let you know if I do. Okay. Second review is for 0, which is a little odd.
there's no-
And hollow.
There's no address yet, but yeah, Carrie Johnson's here, she's the
Hi.
applicant.
Nice to
You
meet
can
you.
come on up,
Yeah.
maybe just, it's
Link
because of the
in
room,
this
the
area.
Zoom doesn't pick up all the audio.
Yeah.
If you sit right there, it probably should be fine, so. It's Carrie Johnson, she's the
Hi.
applicant. So, I'll let Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything you want to
Yeah,
say in
I got a
introduction, go
statement
right
just
ahead.
to
Yep,
Make sure I get it all in there.
sounds
right?
good.
So thanks for your time. I am seeking approval of land development here in Danby over on DePuetron Hollow Road. Purchasing and developing this property is still contingent on several feasible factors, and that's why I'm here. Including, town board approval, septic, well, perk test, and just overall confirmation that the lot is buildable. It has some riparian barriers and a creek, and my intent is to develop something very small. I'm about to be an empty nester, and I'm so ready to downsize. And I'm selling my house right now, and just ready to create a really simple, peaceful life for myself as my son heads off to New York City. So I'm looking to design approximately like a 600 to 800 square foot home that, emphasizes a minimal footprint, and land stewardship. And even off-grid functionality, if it can be considered to reduce environmental impact of the property. So a significant part of interest for me buying this property is actually cleaning it up. I don't know if you have seen the photos, but it's definitely going to be a labor of love.
This is the property.
A significant part is the restoration of this property. The site currently contains accumulated debris and long-term waste. I'm talking like 3 generations. It's incredible. Not sure what went on there, but possibly maybe a shining operation, because there are jugs and bottles feet deep in the soil. It's my goal to remove all the waste and improve the conditions to the adjacent creek, because the trash pours down the hill to the creek. And I want to create a better wildlife habitat and make sure that the riparian buffer is safe. Overall, my objective is to ensure that development is appropriate for the site, environmentally responsible, and fully compliant with any requirements that you see fit. I'm not a developer. My goal is to work with the natural constraints of the land rather than against them.
Very good. I guess my only question is, with all that cleanup effort, is now the time to go to us for approval, but we'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess you're involved with a purchase agreement right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, just want to make sure I have to, I've gone through some steps already and spoken with, environmental health and, a couple other people, and, the health department has said, there are some constraints to the property, so I have hired an engineer to design how the septic system would need to be addressed. There is a well on the property that I was not even aware of at first, so that was a win. It's actually a DEC well, so it's 300 feet deep, encased and closed. So that's kind of where I'm at with the purchase offer, and it's kind of, this is a big one, right? Like, I can't really go forward unless we get approval. So just a few contingencies that I'm working through, but the engineer is very hopeful. Greg has gone out there and walked the property for me and can see my vision of kind of what I want to be doing out there. And it's a lot of cleanup, but like I said, it's absolutely a labor of love for me.
Yeah, so I can pull up this map here, if that would be helpful.
So it's an existing lot, right? And
Yeah,
it's just, okay, that's what I was a little confused about.
Yeah, so it's in the rural one, which, as you know, requires 10 acres, but this lot is a pre-existing lot. And it has all the rights of the rural one.
Okay.
Or at least to build a single family home. So let's go through site plan review. There's a lot of, so not only does the rural 1 district require a site plan review, as you know, for a home, but there's also habitat corridor overlays over the entire site. Pretty much all of the hollow here has that, and that just requires site plan review for any new impervious surface. And then there's also a riparian overlay that goes through here. There's a perennial stream and supposedly an intermittent stream as well. The perennial stream is restricted for any development within 100 feet. As you know, the planning board could grant a waiver for crossing. We sort of talked about that at another application. Carrie's proposal is really just to stay, completely far away from the stream. When I visited the site, basically from the road, a little bit sort of, it sort of goes down, but there's really a flat area before it drops off to the creek, so there's a very logical place. I think for and where somebody had all these buildings that you see in these photos. And so what I'll do is I'll pull up, when Carrie first contacted me, I wanted to understand, what is the real development? Even just looking at maps and setbacks and, where could you potentially put a building?
Right.
Where it's the cleanest in terms of the regulations, whether it's actually buildable is something that I think would be explored, and Claire's doing that with the health department for the septic and everything. Let me just pull up this little diagram here. So what this shows, the property is very narrow. You can see the scale bar down here. It's a very narrow site. What I did is I just, these are the 100-foot setbacks from the stream.
Right.
Here, there's a 50-foot side setback on each side, and then a 20-foot front setback. So when you put that all together, there's a very small area to build. And I sent this to Carrie right away. I put this together, it took me 10 minutes of just saying, this is what I see from a planning perspective, that if you want to go outside of this boundary, you're going to have a harder time, whether it's getting a variance or asking the planning board for some kind of exception. So your easiest time is to just try to locate, and then it turns out going to the site that actually this is the shelf of the property before it just significantly drops off. I would say it's maybe 20 or 30 foot, yeah,
Slope.
going down, and then beyond it, the property goes sort of much further out to the east and, or excuse me, the west, and that's all forested and probably it's never been touched.
And I'd like to keep it.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing a simple, mono slant roof, easy structure, open floor plan, 1 bathroom. This is 800 square feet, and that is the biggest I would want to go. I'm even considering just doing 600 square feet, just due to cost and stuff like that. But I've actually built 2 homes myself and said I'd never do it again, but here I am.
Is the little red box
That's
that-
existing telephone, the electrical line.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's already has,
Oh,
electricity on the property, and there's a well.
and the well is somewhere on that
Yeah.
side of the creek, I assume, close to the
Yeah, it's
side.
actually on the buffer. The
Oh, okay.
GPS coordinates are not accurate, but I pretty much know where it is, which would be offset to the left of the structure that you're looking at currently.
I think this is the,
No, that's the
Oh, okay.
septic one.
I could go toggle different, from
So
the-
what we want, okay. Curious where the septic would go.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest sort of unanswered question at this point, but just while we're just.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm working with engineer Stephen Maybe, and he used to be the head of Tompkins County Health Department. So he's 95% sure that there's no big deal, but we actually gotta go out there with Paul, and they're gonna do a deep hole test. And he said he's not worried about it, but he still just gotta go through all the processes,
Yeah, so I think for coming back, we would wanna see like an idea of where the existing well
Yeah.
is and where they think you could put the septic and the footprint of the building and a delineation probably very similar to what Greg did for the buildable area.
Yeah, I'd want any approval conditioned upon, I mean, you'd need to.
Yeah.
Right to
Yeah,
live there,
have to,
so.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
I was gonna say that I looked at the soil survey, which you can't trust, but it did look good. It looked like gravelly loam and so good for perk.
And that's why Stephen was like, I'm not worried about this, we just gotta go through the steps to get it done.
Yeah.
And he's currently in Florida, but will be back next week, so then we plan to get together and make it happen, so.
Okay. There was something else. Is it, can we go out there? Is it easily accessible? I
Yeah,
didn't try before this meeting, but I
Yeah.
looked at it on maps more than driving out there.
yeah, so, have you ever gone down to Petron Hollow?
In a while, it's been
Yeah.
a while, yeah.
It's such a beautiful road.
Just make
Yeah.
sure you go in from Paddington.
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah, I tried to come, I wanted to go over like from Marsh Road and it was closed, I think.
Okay,
I-
yeah, that's the only, yeah, I've only been on the Marsh side, I haven't been on the Paddington
Yeah,
side.
so definitely
Yeah.
go in the Paddington
Got it.
side.
Alright, so is it Deputron or the Putron?
Putron.
I used to say Deputron, I think some people say Deputron, it sounds like a transformer. you
Yeah.
know?
That's gonna give away that I didn't grow up here. Putron.
Yeah, certainly, I mean, I would encourage board members to go and pull over, what you'll notice, when you drive up the road. It's the property that's across the street from the yellow storage unit that's on your right.
Okay.
Might have to deal with that at
Yeah.
some point, but, so when you come to the yellow storage container on your right. It's gonna be right across the road on your left.
Just wear boots, tuck your
Yeah.
pants into your sock, on ticks.
Yeah.
I was only 5 minutes walking there and we looked down and I had about 5 ticks on
Yeah.
me, so.
Covered.
My dog got out for 10 minutes the other day and she came back and her ticks all over.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
But there is, I mean, it's just covered in
Yeah.
broken glass.
Yeah.
So just wear boots. and be
Yeah.
careful.
Is where you're looking at putting the structure, I mean, they're not real structures what are on there now, but is it in the same location as any of those, or are they not? Okay,
Yeah, I mean, there's pretty much one buildable site. There are some dilapidated cabins in the riparian buffer, the Perennial Creek area that will need to be removed. You know, there's so much stuff in all
Yeah.
of those buildings. So definitely gonna have to get a bucket to just pick it up and move it because, yeah, there's a lot everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah, what I was saying to Carrie when I was down on the site is, I actually think this can maybe even help the application, it's just, I was very surprised that there was just so much, I've driven by there a few times. And I just never noticed all these buildings and broken glass and just rubbish, really.
right,
And then so, to have somebody come in, propose just a very modest sort of development that can, meet, the standard, but also to clean up the property, I think is a very,
Yeah.
great thing to happen.
Step one is just absolutely restore it. It's interesting because like, when you start to walk into the property and you start to look and you're like, oh, there's some bottle, and then it's just like, oh my. Wow, it's just so, it's probably, I don't know, I just like to
Yeah.
say it's 3 generations of garbage. Yeah, it's a lot. But
So,
yeah, I'm not a grant writer, but you would hope that there's like money out there you could get to do some of that work, but I don't know.
I
Not
love that
my
idea, I
wheelhouse.
didn't even think about that, but, it's just
Yeah.
like. I'm just gonna go in and, make it happen, so. I'm actually excited about it, I just like can't wait to see it like shine again,
Yeah.
like it's such a magical little spot that I can really see myself being, and yeah, I wanna put that love into it.
I want to say thank you for cleaning it up
Yeah,
and improving Danby.
Yeah,
Unless it happened a bit.
I would love to like figure out what the history is there, like whose homestead is that, like.
I have to ask people on the road.
What were they doing? Cause it's
Somebody on the road.
obviously very old, but very used, not used right, but, yeah, I'm gonna have to find some locals that have been around for a while. I mean, I guess, it's like, maybe just like a camp or a hunting grounds or bottles.
yeah.
What might be helpful, and I'm just pulling up the topo, just so you can see, to just sort of like the grade.
Oh, thank you, I'm so sorry.
No.
No, even the engineer, I sent him the photos that I shared with you, and he's like, are you sure you want?
That
Yeah.
could potentially be from like maple syrup.
What's up with that?
Not a maple tree on the property.
But the lines are a little faint to see, but what I'm just trying to show is that there's this pretty, it's a pretty flat area on the road. You can see an old building, there's an old building here and then even one down the hill a little bit. But I think the idea is that the house be sited, somewhere just in this area. And then it just, there's like a shelf pretty
Yeah.
much right here, and that's pretty much lines up with what I gave to Carrie initially for meeting the setbacks, staying outside of that 100 feet. So,
And those things that are black are other houses.
oh yeah, that's just my buildings layer.
So some of those people might have some idea what
Yeah.
what it was.
I did speak with the people across the street and this neighbor over here because I needed to inquire, Stephen couldn't find their well location on a site map, so we needed to determine where their well site is. If it's not close to the property lines for septic use. And so he's got a good idea of a drill site, and like he said, soils amicable, thinks everything should be fine, it's just the steps. But yeah, even this house in the lower right-hand corner, sorry, is in the riparian barrier that now exists, but they were, grandfathered for. But yeah, even just like you can tell where their property line is, that they also had to clean up garbage. Yeah, so I think, if I'm not wrong, Greg, I think those two, or there were two properties that were together, and I believe in like 2006, they were separated or something like that along those lines.
Wow.
All right. And then we won't need any environmental on this one, because we're just reviewing the building structure, the buildable area in the structure. Okay, okay. All right. Any other feedback?
Do we need to
Do
schedule
we-
a public hearing?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know, what kind of timeline do you think you need to turn around for the next level?
To be able to make the May 22nd or 20th meeting.
Yep, okay.
And then if we get delayed or anything, I can
Yeah, you just
communicate.
need to, great.
And but yeah, Stephen's planning to come back, and I already have, the earth mover lined up and all that, so it's just getting Stephen here,
Okay.
coming back from snowbirding in Florida. So we'll be doing that in the next week or so. So I was hoping to turn that around to you by first, second week in May, and
Yeah, that'd be great. And then as we talked about, and you all are aware that you can always condition the site plan based on, so that you could approve the site plan, but then if for whatever reason the health department doesn't approve the septic design,
Right.
the site plan's not, doesn't move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a building permit.
Yeah. Okay. Do you wanna make a motion, Colleen?
Oh, yeah, I'll motion we schedule a public hearing for the next meeting.
Second it.
Bergman,
Yes.
Cowan,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Benucci,
Yes.
and Martin.
Yes.
See that?
all right, thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Goodbye.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay.
I like you. Give it a look.
But
Take my husband.
I would do it, yeah. I think I would be pressing myself out there and see it.
it's I'm glad you asked, like, because I don't know how often just go out to see properties. I know.
I usually do if it's like a quick,
Sure.
like easy access, but that one I wasn't sure about how the access was.
It's very helpful. I mean, I look at these maps all day long, but it's just going out there and just seeing it. Just good understanding.
Yeah.
Wow,
All right.
this project.
third development, 15 Bald Hill Road.
I think we should just go ahead and approve it.
All right, I am assuming Zach is here as representative from the town of Danby?
No.
No?
Skateboard.
Oh, from the state park, okay.
Yeah.
It says the applicant
This-
is the town.
Well, which one? What are those? Am I all encompassed?
I don't know who is that. I don't know. It doesn't, we'll discuss it either way. For the skate park.
Yeah, who's the applicant? The town?
Yeah, so I mean, we can, there's actually a little bit of, there's some other information I've uncovered since I sent you the memo. So in there I talked about, oh, there's seeker and maybe planning board should do seeker and maybe. So in doing this research, there's, yeah, so, all right, so right now in this zone district, or pretty much any zone district, public park requires site plan review. So that goes to the planning board. I found there's actually guidance on this that governmental agencies are exempt from local land use or can be exempt from local land use regulations. So the town board could just request to the planning board, to just be exempt from going through site plan review. And then they would just take it on, they could be exempt from just generally all of the regulations if they so choose. The planning board could continue to be the one to review the site plan. It's kind of, I think there's some collegiality, I think just deciding on who wants to review this. But it can be parked under a type 2. So in there, I said, oh, it's unlisted. I thought that looking through both type 1 and type 2 lists, I thought be unlisted, but if the town does dedicate it as a park, so right now it's not, it's just town owned property. If the town board does dedicate it as parkland, it can be parked under a type 2.
Is that typically how this would
Yeah.
be designated as a park?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so, it's a very small site. It's pretty appropriate to I think the environmental review can be pretty limited on it. That being said, I mean, practically with Buttermilk Creek there, and there's floodplain, the environmental review should be handled through site plan review, whether that is through the planning board doing that, or the planning board, the town board or the planning board. I think that those things will have to be addressed anyway, of meeting floodplain regulations, making sure that they're not impacting the creek. So where am I going with this? I guess that
Wrapped in circles.
I know, well, this was something that I just as of like yesterday and even a little bit today, am like wrapping my head around, that actually it's on the planning board's agenda right now as site plan review, because that's what the zoning code says. The town, and you could continue to review, and I think the town board would welcome your input anyway, even if it's just, here's what we think, and I know that Jamie, you've been involved in helping Zach out too in the project. But the town board could request to the planning board to say, hey, actually, we're gonna sort of use this immunity that we can, it's called just government immunity from local land use regulations. There's some guidance on it in the Department of State that I found. There was this whole court case a long time ago in the county of Monroe where I should pull it up so I can read it, but it's basically saying if there's a project, a public infrastructure project that serves the public, that is the determinative factor. It's not the review process that is the determinative factor. It's that this project is for the public, and so that agency, whether it's the town board or it's the DOT doing a highway project or the state doing a school expansion, school district expansion, they're doing something in the public interest, and they can request that it's basically provide a reason of why they should be the ones to just take over and sort of be the ones to just review the project and go forward. So that's that's that. I think still though, hearing Zach go through the, describe the project and for the planning board to provide input at a very minimum would be very helpful. But I'm curious before we get into that, what the temperature check on the planning board is for the planning board to not formally be the agency to approve a site plan.
I just want it built, so.
What's that?
I just want it built, so if it's better if we're on it, not on it, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I mean, I don't mind reviewing it.
Yeah.
I think we could review it and go through,
Yeah,
just so it's.
Yeah.
We don't get any. I feel like if we just say we're gonna do it because we can do it, there could be some negative reactions out there. And I think we could cleanly
No.
and
Yeah.
efficiently get through the process and review the impacts if there are any and make it the best it could be.
Yeah, wouldn't the town want us to do it? The town, right? Wouldn't that be possible? It saves you a little time and effort.
Yeah, I agree too. I agree.
And they have enough other things they're doing.
Yeah. This makes me feel less guilty for never attending any of the meetings that I kept saying, I kept putting on my calendar. That's what
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing to consider, right, is that the town board's dealing with this many other matters, that maybe this is just. You're just the ones to just review the site plan impacts,
Yeah.
or the development impact.
We're the experts. Well, and it comes down to due diligence to me. Yeah.
Right.
That's what we should do.
I mean, it's also an opportunity to demonstrate best practice.
Mhm.
No,
In terms of,
riparian buffers, yeah, just how sites should be built.
it's fine with me either way, I just, yeah.
So do we need to like declare ourselves lead agency or anything? Okay,
No, not yet, in fact, because, let's hold off on the environmental review, because what the town board would need to do, if they want to dedicate this as parkland,
oh, right, 'cause it's not
Is that a-
officially going
it's
that
not-
pathway yet.
it's not there, right now it's just town-owned property. But once they declare it as parkland, then it can be couched under a type 2. Again, not that. I mean, there's still environmental considerations, I mean, I've just looked up at the riparian corridor and the floodplain and everything that are going to be handled during site plan review, and the regulations, if. You're applying the regulations, it's, minimizing impervious surface within 50 feet of this stream. If it's in the hamlet, if it was outside the hamlet, it'd be 100 feet, but in the hamlet's 50 feet. So, okay, I just wanted to bring up that sort of odd little piece of this, but it's a useful thing, because if the town board meets, they're gonna meet next week, and
Right.
just know that if there's the other 3 of them that say, no, we really wanna just actually take this on ourselves, they could submit an analysis to the planning board, that there's a balancing test, I think 9 standards that they would have to address to say, here's why we believe that we don't need to be held to these standards. And, just because, again, it's in the public interest, so, and I don't know if they're gonna do that, but just know that they.
How big is the lot?
1.26 acres. I believe the last deed I looked at this morning, so that's
Just over an acre.
That's
You-
kind of weird. I mean, it's just like the public interest thing, because isn't it in the public interest to conform to the standards that, you know what I'm saying?
I was very surprised by this, because in the city I worked for before moving back to New York. It was a much bigger city, we had a Parks Department and Planning Department, and the Parks Department was doing a whole new city park. And they came over one day to get building permits, and we reviewed it, and the director of our planning department said, no, they need to go through site plan review. And the Parks Director was so pissed at our department for doing that, but our director, his stance was, I believe that all city projects should be held to the same standard as a private project. And so, yeah, we kind of put them through the ringer, and it took a few months to get through, and they were grumbling about it, but ultimately it was a great city park, and the planning department was involved, and engineering was involved, and so, yeah, I was very surprised to come across this. Monroe standard. It was very interesting. I went down, learned a lot. Usually it's exercised, like I saw a case up in Lansing where the airport, the DOT was doing airport expansion and they sent a letter to the Lansing town planning and saying, you know, here's why we're just gonna sort of do this and we're not gonna, or even intra-agency or, you know, intra-town, I got another Lansing case, was Lansing was expanding its highway facilities, but they were doing it in a zone district that didn't allow a highway department to be. And so they really flexed and said, you know, we're just gonna, we wanna do this. And even though it's not allowed as a use and we don't meet the setbacks and we don't meet all these things, it's a public project. And the planning board agreed and they said, sure, you know, go ahead with that. So it's not like it's not supposed to be contentious, it's just supposed to be, you know, saying there's this problem, but. Carry it on. Where do you want to go from here?
I don't, now I'm more confused than before.
I know. Let's just,
We're just looking at the plan.
yeah, so it's still there, so under the request of the planning board, review the proposal and provide comments. And don't do that last part where it says, and provide town board notice of intent to declare lead agency, because right now, I think we just need to wait to see how seeker fall. You know, if the town board's gonna dedicate it, if not, so just
Okay.
review it and let them just provide.
Can you, wait, are you pulling it up?
Yeah, sure. If you want to describe it.
I would love to describe it. I will say, since this has been submitted, we have flipped the parking area, the other side.
Okay,
it's
so
not
it's out of the buffer.
impeding on the buffer zone. Trying to get around 12 parking spots or so, we need to actually have a survey done before we can really figure out the exact lay of that side of the property. There are no final plans yet.
Right.
It's getting close. It's so much work to like get a number, figure out all the materials. We are doing this all like volunteer labor on a very tight budget. So we're trying to like shrink it to the most affordable thing we can and still be able to build that. But phase one would be clearing parking lot, clearing Japanese knotweed, the 5,000 square foot rectangle, and working on doing plantings to control water management. And you know, I think it's going to be as well on the property, seeing how water leaves across the land makes sense to deal with accordingly. We already have a small grant to put a little slab with some picnic tables and a barbecue. Ideally, that would go where the barn is now, much smaller, like 16 by 16 feet. Barn's right here.
And the barn needs to be, it'll be torn down.
Yes, as soon as we're allowed to do it. Currently, because it is a town highway property, nothing can be done because you have to be a prevailing wage, and yes. So it will come down. Part of phase two would be if you scroll down. If we can get approval and do this, build this first phase one this year, ideally, phase two would be both making a bold area in the top, because it's about 10 to 12 feet difference. It allows for drainage very easily, and trying to put a playground back there. So yeah.
Nice.
is the whole lot in the floodplain or is,
Let
because,
me, let me pull it up, that's a
Yeah.
good, yeah, I should have prepared an exhibit, 1 second. If there's other questions, just in the meantime,
so where the bowl is, it's higher.
It's about 12 feet to the top, so if we got 12 feet of water, I think we'd be worrying about a lot of other stuff.
Well, no, but I mean, the ground's higher there.
Oh,
Yeah, not,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's impervious either way, but are you planning on paved parking or gravel parking?
there's actually a couple
Yeah,
in that, most of the land.
yeah, I didn't know if you're, other than the actual course, if anything would be
Yeah,
paved.
with time, it would be great to continue adding more native plantings and it, it needs a lot of love, but thankfully, like I found out over the course of research, there's been tank remediation done and
Okay.
I'm trying to find out some other information, but there has been soil testing done at one point too. And it was good, sorry, it was suitable for children. It was interesting because I actually found a file in the early 90s, the Danby Community Council actually had plans for an 8,300 square foot community center to be built there.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, Zach found, I could pull them up, it was,
It's
it's a
wild.
plan for a community center.
What year was
It's like-
this?
Like 91 maybe. I can't find the day it was put together for the date, but it has the schedule of like every step they want to take from additional to completion.
Wait, can we just, I just wanna show that just for now.
you like to go down rabbit hole.
It does look like, Ted has a question.
I don't know if he needs the plan. Go ahead, Ted.
Not a question, actually. Zach asked me the same, asked the town, the park board, the community council, the same question earlier today. I'd be surprised if we could find any paperwork on it at all. That's ancient history, 35 years ago. The only community center I'm familiar with was the one that was proposed for what turned out to be a wetland in Dotson Park. And I remember some other thing about something involving a ski area in West Danby.
I heard about that once upon a time, yeah.
But those are all fables from prehistoric past. But for what it's worth, Zach, I'll ask around, and it might be sitting in a box somewhere if someone wants to dig into boxes.
Okay. Did you ever pick up the boxes that were here from the DCC?
How long ago are you thinking?
2 years.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I picked up the stuff, yeah.
Okay, great.
But though I don't think those boxes were at that time, the park and community council were different.
Okay.
No, anyway, I mean, back in that age, the community council ran a daycare on Cottington Road. That's how different life was.
Do you wanna go back to the floodplain, or just?
Yeah, well, I found it helpful to see. Also, this has less environmental impact than the community center would have. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Worth knowing.
So it is interesting that it says existing building. So do you have, are there still foundations there?
I have not dug
Come across
down in
enough?
that location. I dug down maybe 30 feet from the creek last year.
Okay,
And the groundwater is about 2 feet below grade, which makes
Yeah.
sense.
yeah.
Pull up anything else? And go back to the site plan, or I don't know if you got a chance to see the floodplain map, it is pretty extensive.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, does anybody know, I haven't really looked into. I don't know, like.
I don't
park
know what it would be
improvements.
for parks. Yeah, I only know in terms of building.
Yeah, just thinking of like
Structure.
structure thorns or something.
I don't know.
I don't know how it applies to parks.
I mean, it really counts as like a fancy sidewalk.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, everything's flat on
Everything
grade.
drains, like everything, it's
yeah.
not retaining anymore.
I mean, what it serves is like a place where like kids can just be. Like
Yeah.
that's this, like,
Absolutely.
this doesn't exist right now. They can just like be there.
You could just build
Where
a
they want it.
playground, so if it floods, it's a water park, and then you perfect.
Oh, yeah, slip and slide.
Some life jackets.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have any, I guess it doesn't look like there's any planned, structures with like any plumbing of any kind, so we don't have to worry about septic or anything like that on the site. Okay.
So in terms of the riparian, the 50 foot from the stream, it's a performative standard, it just says to just limit, the goal is just limit impervious surface. Right now, the plan is showing a 25 foot buffer. Is there any thoughts around?
I mean, you basically can't get on the site without being in it, so I don't know. I mean, as long as we limit it as much as possible, what you've done by pushing everything up the hill.
Right, on the other side, basically.
Yeah. So I guess the only thing would be if you're actually like putting a slab for the picnic tables, but otherwise.
Right, yeah, is that all that's encroaching it? It's the buffer, it's the picnic tables, because the parking lot's moved. Or is that, well, I guess where it comes
The
in.
main
where
entrance
you
would
come in
still
is-
be in it, yeah.
Back up.
I can move it somewhat else, the main reason I was putting it there is just.
There's a barn that's already there,
There's already something there.
Yeah, there's already something there, and also it just gives clear line of sight.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's already an impervious surface in that
Mhm.
area, so you're not changing the use of that specific footprint.
Small.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice, so we got a $2,500 grant from Cornell's beautification program
Okay.
for 3 picnic tables, concrete pad, and a grill. Very cool.
And all the stuff we buy is made in Jamestown, New York.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, all the metal stuff.
And then you're doing the lumber.
Yeah.
Is this, I just have a question about this, this graphic here, is this what
Oh.
is for?
Is that you?
the-
I was just trying to show back what I meant by like surface stormwater systems, like bioretention areas basically that are not piping to a pond, but treating water on the surface.
So this would be what is adjacent to the creek?
That's
In
what
this
would be the
section.
blue.
Parking lot, impervious surfaces
Where it's
basically.
blue. With the circle here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, right. And I think as I said in my memo, I talked with Soil and Water a few months ago about this. I was asking them about, because I think you were asking about drainage into the creek from like the bowl or something, you know, how does that work? It's in floodplain or it's going to the creek. And the general feedback was just that they would have the Soil and Water, they'd be happy to sort of provide some input in terms of how water is managed on the site too.
I think it would be a really great demonstration buffer planting. You know, like, I feel like you could get funding from many different organizations for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
And plant a big mix of kind of deer resistant species, of course, but I think it could be, and then you could do other things with meadow potentially on site, I think would be fun.
Do you know, have ideas for programs?
Yeah, oh yeah,
That'd be great if you could send them.
sure, sure.
Also, thank you, Jane.
Hmm?
Thank you.
Of course, sure.
All right. Anything else? Oh, then get it done.
Yes, before the site plan review, is there anything else you'd want to see? What else would you want to see on this plan?
I guess if like where you, probably just the 50-foot line, just to know where it is,
Okay.
since that is our regulation.
And then, I mean,
And then I don't know, is there anything else?
What, can you talk to us about your design? You're not having a charrette or something, a meeting to design this? I thought I saw you were, having a meeting to design this.
Since last September. So we have a pretty, last night we actually had a design meeting for, it was the second one we've had for the rectangular area, which will be a street area. I think there are a few tweaks to the plan, but it exists. I can get someone to put it in computer form. I cannot do that. But yeah,
I can do that if you need help with that.
You could show us some pictures, I'd be fine with it.
okay.
Hey, take a
It
picture
looked
with your
kind of
phone.
like this.
It's definitely just of like having any point that could collectively or could collect water or have subsurface drainage.
goes to the Danby Town Hall.
I see. This one.
And the plan is to actually slope, like keep it flat this way and slope it that way for drainage.
Oh, yeah.
Just a slight free pitch.
Gonna be like a 3/4 bowl, like at the skate park downtown, so water can come out of it instead of being a full.
Yes, there's definitely plans for a half pipe that's bold on one end, and we're trying to put some granite in it. It'll probably have some decorative tile and trying to actually have a wall, like a probably 7-foot tall wall on the end facing Bald Hill Road. So if anything shoots out, it hits the wall instead of hitting the
Wow.
cars in the parking lot.
That'd be good.
We can also do planning, but it's kind of integrated into the plan.
What are the neighbors look like? So there's house, those are residences,
Mhm.
right? And then
Are they,
cemetery. Okay.
Region.
Yeah.
have they like said anything?
I've talked to everyone, so the person right at the corner, very excited, as a child that I believe is 12.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
The
Well,
next-
I'm just gonna get out of this and sort of go to,
Yeah.
I will say the only, I had someone say that it was an ugly site, which I don't fully disagree with. I mean, the trees are really nice. But no, there really wasn't much pushback. There was someone that was concerned about like ground quality, and now that I know that's been tested, to
Right,
Yeah.
feel better.
Yeah.
Better than really good.
Something came to mind, what about, lighting?
Well, I would say we probably shouldn't have it because it's in a residential neighborhood.
and I mean, most parks are closed at dusk anyway.
Yeah, this thing, sometimes like I know that the skate park has, like downtown has lighting.
It's wonderful. I would love to have it. My biggest concern is actually the neighbors that are. Sorry. Around this area. As far as I think, doing plannings. The plan is to actually kind of berm up one side to keep sound. Oh, there's gonna be thought going into sound control. I would like to potentially reuse the barn to do a fence by this end, like behind the sitting area, or just do quick run plantings to do a buffer. I don't know, I think if we can get it there first and kind of go from there, if the neighbors are. Receptive long term, if we could go for lights, be wonderful, but I think at this point, lights would probably. Cost as much or more than what we're going to be spending on.
No,
the
like
first
tricks
phase.
and.
Yeah.
But also-
It's not a, I mean, not a clock here in summer. you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
So, I mean, there's a bunch of kids that all kind of live.
Oh, yeah.
there's a couple houses around it, but that's not everybody,
Yeah.
so,
Right.
you know, at 10 o'clock at night, I mean, I want kids screaming and whooping around on
Yeah.
skateboards anyway, so.
And I mean, we probably should have some sort of time limit on it, but I mean, personally, I've, the nice part of being a contractor and a skater is I've used, rechargeable work lights and just
Right.
done that to light up spaces in there, so.
Yeah, just thinking about the general sort of site plan, things like
Right.
all the nuisance things, the noise, dust, glare.
Yeah.
It did remind me of something I wanted to tell you, but unrelated. We'll leave it till the end.
I'd argue, I mean, like, for noise, I mean, kids riding up and down on their bikes around there. Will, you know, make as much noise as the kids skating.
Yeah.
In sense.
Ones on Gunderman Road now have those little scooter things that,
With the rainbow lights on them.
well, that and also the, I don't know, they're somehow propelled, they're,
Yeah, electric ones.
yeah.
Well, we used to put cards in our tires.
Yes. I think they're, yeah, playing cards.
Alright, so updating the plan, at least what I hear is just showing the flipped parking area. We show the 50-foot riparian buffer, and I can help out with that too. And anything else to sort of show on the site plan?
We have the drainage on there and. Yeah, I don't know. Anyone have anything else? We can,
Might be other town board comments too.
Yeah.
But I guess for right now, it's not scheduling a public hearing yet.
I mean, does it, I hate to say it like this, let's get it done faster, because as soon as this gets approved, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
We
Planning board,
could.
it's-
Are
if we
lead
think
agent?
the,
Can we do it if we're not leading?
It doesn't matter, you don't,
Oh.
it doesn't need to be, the
That's
public
just for
hearing is not
seeker.
tied to seeker,
Yeah,
right?
good.
So. You could, I mean, I guess it's always better to get multiple, you could always hold a second public hearing if you wanted, you know, I mean, you could. Schedule a public hearing that would just provide notice to the neighbors. The notification distance is always 500 feet.
Yeah.
Should it be larger? You know, it'd be larger, like if you want, you know, I think for that, we did a mailer.
do you know how many it would be with the
I know, I always
500?
wanna see the thing again to see what's within 5.
Well, we actually, so Zach and I put together a mailer last year and. It was like most folks up Bald Hill. It was a big radius. So maybe we could use the same kind of mailer or just sort of see what 500 comes up with, and it's probably included in what we put together.
It was almost all the way down to Michigan Hollow on Danby Road also.
Okay.
There's, I think, around 49. I could be wrong, but I think it's close to 49 properties.
Right, yeah, it was a couple dozen. So I'm just trying to think, is there any, I didn't put on potentially scheduling a public hearing, I thought we would just. You know, there might be some more
yeah,
discussion, but
I mean, unless the town doesn't want us to handle it for some reason. That would be the only reason not to
Right.
schedule it, I would think. Like if the town board, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
doesn't wanna to do the review, that would be the only reason not to do a public hearing.
right.
But we're volunteering to do it, so I don't know. I
Oh.
can't see them saying no.
I'll motion to hold a public hearing if the town approves us as doing the review. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I'll second that.
Oh, I guess, can we do it if we don't know for a park? Will they determine that next week?
Yeah, and you can still,
We could always do a second one.
yeah, right, you could, I guess. You can schedule the public hearing and, even if anything changes, you know, there's support for this at the town board level,
Right,
but so.
yes.
You know, I think just more public input is always great in a project like this, so even if it has to go back for site plan modifications or whatever, if something happens. And we need to do another public hearing, I think having 2 public hearings is not a bad thing.
Yep.
That's how it has to be.
Okay.
Even though it does cost do that, but,
Or just don't close it, just leave it open.
yeah, right.
If we're not actually approving anything, we can't leave it open. Okay, proceed. Sorry, I interrupted your motions.
Oh, we got a second. I motion, he second.
So was there a condition?
That the town board wants us to. involve.
And you know, it probably doesn't even need to be conditioned, but if you wanna condition it, I'm just, you know, but right now, the site plan review is the town board's authority to do it, and so, the town board wanted to wrestle that away, then you're still holding a public hearing on it, and
To wrestle it back, no, I was kidding.
Public hearing, right?
yeah.
Yeah, we can do a public
I
hearing.
didn't mean to sort of complicate this, I just found this thing and,
Yeah.
with the Department of State, thought I'd bring it on. The town board really wanted to take it on.
Okay,
I think you can just keep your motion as it, I don't know.
Alright. Yeah, I'm good with that.
So condition not in the town board one.
to be the lead of the site plan.
If they want site plans, be the reviewers of this problem. Yeah, yeah, correct. Correct, yeah.
That's what I meant.
Right, Bergman,
Yes.
Cowan,
Yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Nucci,
Yes.
and Lana.
Yes,
Great, so that's a public hearing for May 20th, so we'll have 3 public hearings that night. Exciting.
yeah. Probably nobody will show up except for this one. But we'll see. Okay. Moving on to special event law. That was called law? Special
Yeah.
event Law, yes.
Yeah, so. I think it's a good idea, so this law has been. Was. Starting to be drafted 2 years ago. Really, it was in response because somebody was holding a festival on South Danby Road and the town. Issued a violation and. It just wasn't allowed by the zoning because it was a commercial endeavor on residential property. So this law kind of came out of that, like, well, maybe it could be okay to have a large event, but very infrequently. And so here we are 2 years later, we actually put it down last year, we didn't work on it. And so it's good, even though the planning board is not named in the law as a reviewing agency. I think it's just be helpful to just get the planning board's take on it. I just dropped these off on your desk, tonight. So certainly I don't expect kind of a full roaded, endorsement or, thorough review right now, but I can go over the, there's a lot of language in there, a lot of it is just sort of what would be required to show, where the meat of the discussions have been. Is what constitutes a special event. So this is still certainly up for discussion with the town board too. But right now it's just that it's any event in the town of Danby which will result in a traffic generation of more than 75 vehicles. And meet one of 4 conditions. Be more than 8 hours in duration or be held at 9 o'clock. Or require a fee or a donation for admission to parking, or utilize a professional grade speaker amplification system capable of exceeding the noise limitations in section 3 subsections C. These conditions are still sort of being tweaked and looked at, especially that last one, that maybe that's not the right language for it. But we're just trying to find a threshold that seems reasonable to not capture smaller events, just really try to capture sort of larger ones. What is not a special event has also been a point of discussion. So really trying to exempt out some of the residential gatherings, the graduation parties, weddings, big summer celebrations, those things are completely fine. You're not receiving a payment for them or anything. And then the other one would be currently right now, any event held on property that's owned by a not-for-profit organization for its own fundraising that is contained on site and has adequate parking, ingress, egress, traffic control, and sanitary facilities to host an event. So nonprofit would include town property, county property, religious organizations, the VFW is nonprofit, the fire district is nonprofit, so governmental, institutional, schools, would be exempt from holding an event as long as, like Waldorf School, they often have their, Elves Fair and there are other celebrations that are cute. And
The skate park would be nonprofit.
skate park, I mean, if it's town-owned property, yeah,
Yeah.
and hopefully there would be 75 cars there, but.
I know.
And so then the other point, so what is a special event, what isn't a special event, those two things have been sort of hotly debated, discussed and gone back and forth, modified a little bit. They're still, I don't think they're totally settled out. Looking for input on those. And then also in section 3, it's on page 2, right at the top, the total number of days permitted for special events per property cannot exceed 6 in any given calendar year. This also has kind of gone back and forth. A recent version had 100. The thought was allowing somebody to have like a 2 days per week music series over the course of a summer, or even 50 weeks, which allows them to have that. The feedback was very clear from the public that was way too much, so that got pulled back considerably. And then this noise level, so it's section 3.c that talks about the operator, so the person holding the event shall be responsible for maintaining reasonable noise levels during the special event. If the event involves amplified sound, the operator is responsible for ensuring that adjacent properties will not be subject to sound level higher than 60 decibels using a C-weighted noise calculation measured at the property line from 7 to 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and 50 decibels measured at the property line from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. That has also been a focus to, is 60 decibels, is that overly restrictive? Some folks at this last town board meeting said, that's a pretty normal sound level. And to have really a special, unique, rare event, maybe the sound is allowed to be a little bit higher than that. So I put in a question to someone who helped the town draft the noise law. That's not being considered right now, but there's some local sound engineer, Warren Cross, he's a resident and helped the town out in the past with sound related matters. Certainly other things could be talked about too, but those were just the main things that have been talked about. And the last thing I'll say before I hand it over to you is just I think the reason it's important for the planning board to just look at this and consider this, and it doesn't need to be tonight necessarily, but to provide comments, is that consider these events as a temporary land use that might not be allowed by the zoning district. So think about your neighbor, and they want to host a ticketed festival. That's probably never going to happen, but it did for folks on South Danby Road. And so thinking about planning board looks at land use, these are temporary uses of land, and is the law set up in a way that can, cover some of those bases? Safety, sanitary facilities, exits, everything. So I'll just kind of open it up for now and just see if questions are coming to it.
I've only followed this from afar. Where did the 75 vehicles come from? And the way I'm reading this is it sounds like it starts at 75 or more vehicles. And then you have to also be one of A, B, C, or D, but not all of A, B, C, and D. Is that right?
Right, if you're gonna then trigger the need for
Yeah.
this permit,
Yeah.
right? So where does 75 come up? It was really just a matter of testing different numbers out and seeing sort of what the, you know, how palatable they were. This started, I looked at a number of different towns, again, 2 years ago, that had them, so the town of Ulysses has one, grassroots. Town of Southampton, it's a little bit more urban, and their law is a lot, town of Vestal has one. Ithaca has mass gathering permit, Lansing's got this mass gathering, those are for thousands of people. But so I started with Ulysses, because I thought that was most sort of relatable with a sort of a thinking of a festival. Theirs is 50 vehicles. But this has gone around and around. The initial comment was maybe we should add in a person threshold, so it was, I think it started as 50 cars, 50 vehicles. But then the concern was, well, what if 49 buses show up with hundreds of people, thousands of people? You know, they would be exempt, so we added it, all right, 50 vehicles, 50 vehicles for 100 people. And then from there, it kind of got modified for a little bit, it got bumped up to 200, the town board looked at acreage, so, all right, maybe if it's a property that's less than an acre, it's, you know, less than 200 people, or if it's over an acre and it's 400 more people, it all landed back here with just looking at traffic generation, and if somebody really wants to try to skirt that by having 74 vehicles and, you know, active cars, then we can address that then, but so that's kind of how it ended with 75.
Does it, and I know I talked to you about this, how would that help a situation like what we had last summer with, oh, I can't remember exactly, it was on a weekend, we had, I don't know, probably as many as 50 trucks and stuff who were just going around, huh?
Rally.
It was a rally.
Side race, right?
That was already approved though, right? It was something.
No, it was generated from like an error or something. But it was, but they were using roads and dirt roads. And
Yeah.
going round and round and round, and it was so loud, and it went on for.
Yeah.
There's a name for that. You know, you go to a certain point and you get,
Yeah.
you answer a question and you get to go on, and it still was.
So,
It's really disruptive. It was very disruptive, very loud. You wouldn't have dared to go out and try to walk.
Yeah.
They were just
Yeah.
racing up and down Gunderman Road. And I don't know how any of this would. I mean, it's adding a whole nother element, but
Yeah.
that was. How
It's
can they just
generating
get to do
traffic
that?
and
No.
vehicles.
Protected highway.
Did they require a fee? Was there a fee? Wait, was what?
Probably if there was a
Was
fundraiser,
it-
if there was a fundraiser.
More four-wheelers and that kind of. I looked it up, I have all the information, like name of the company. Yeah, I didn't have that, I just was, it was just, and it went on and on and on. Yeah.
Good question, would this law
Would it,
touch that?
I'm not sure it does, but I don't ever want.
That's like
I'm
the
gonna call
workaround, they
police
just
if
stay
it
in
happens.
motion.
What'd you say?
That's the workaround, is that everyone just stays in motion throughout. the
Well, right,
It doesn't say parks, it just says
Yeah,
generation of
I know.
vehicles.
Oh,
that is interesting.
I don't know, I would call the police if it happened again, it
Yeah.
was awful.
Yeah, why don't you let's try that angle. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, definitely the intention of this law, but I see maybe doesn't, is it's on a piece of property.
Right.
You know, like a concert or.
But you looked up information, I didn't look up information, I was just angry.
That made me think of like when I was at Cornell, the bike team hosted one of the regional races out in.
Caroline probably or something.
Yeah, it was somewhere out in that area. I can't remember exactly what town we were in. But like we tried starting with Ithaca College first and they wouldn't let us because we had to shut down the the traffic impact on the fire response. So then we ended up doing it out at somewhere in Caroline area. I can't remember exactly where. But that was like a whole effort of like getting approvals with EMS and fire trucks and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know like how that. If any of that comes, like, I don't know, have you talked to the, like, if the fire department's been involved in any of this or EMS or anybody either, but.
In terms of looking at the law,
Yeah, and just, you know, if they would wanna add any requirements to the law of like you have to get. Prior approval from, so that they have, like, we had to have on-site ambulance from Banks for the whole event. So I don't know if any of that has been considered either.
well,
And I mean, that was on us to pay them to be there all day.
Right.
Granted, we used them, it was unfortunately, because we had massive bike pile up, but.
it's a good, so the, I mean, one of the review criteria, it's section 5, it's on page 3. Is the impact of the event on fire and ambulance service to the areas contiguous to the event and to the town in general. So. A general statement, but I could see that. The reviewing agency is not me, it's the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Right.
The idea behind that is that, again, this is a land use that is not otherwise allowed by zoning, so. The thought is it should be reviewed by a board that can kind of look, you know, at modifying the standards. So I would imagine that if an event was to be proposed, go through this process. I would encourage the board, you know, to ask, you know. Ask the operator, show us, you know, give us a letter that from the fire department,
Right.
from, you know, EMS. You know, that says that your event is. You know, going to be fine in terms of their services. So, but that being said, it also might be good just to get, you know, past this draft law while it's still in draft mode to the fire department to, like the county has an EMS service now, maybe they'd be willing to take a look at it and.
Give her up by Steve Orbright.
We definitely talked about it. I don't know if he's ever actually gone through line by line. Yeah, so the impact of the event on movement of firefighting equipment or ambulance service to the town. So,
This isn't really a planning board thing so much, but how did you arrive at $1 million insurance? Because I would just say that I just applied to be a certified grower in New York State. And I have to get $1 million of liability insurance.
As a grower, to grow vegetables and stuff?
Yeah, flowers, shrubs,
Huh?
trees.
Gotta be kidding me.
I just took them from Ulysses, one.
Okay,
Um,
it seems low. I mean, if you had multiple like pile ups.
Yeah.
oh, it seems low.
Seems low to me, yeah.
Well, if it was a nonprofit, they'd probably have to have separate money anyway, right, to help insurance, that would be for like participants.
Yeah.
Separate of hiring, shutting down the road and ambulances and fire, and police that you'd have to hire, I would think.
Yeah, the police would really come and watch your plants grow.
Yeah, I know. It's high stakes.
I'm sorry.
apparently.
It's like,
It hasn't been flagged yet,
Okay.
as being too low or anything.
$1 million shows up in all sorts of requirements for policies all over the place. It's probably a historical number more than anything real. It's just, once upon a time, it was a lot of money.
it's not cheap, I'm sure.
Actually, it's pretty cheap. A couple $100 will buy you $1 million policy. Depends on what field you're in, I guess.
So I'm not sure there's any way to address that. Are you still looking for who it was? I've got it at home, because I just ran into that the other day and I was remembering
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what time of the year it was, because
I mean, those are things that the organizers should have cleared it through,
Somebody.
town highways or something.
right.
I thought
this
that
was
they
gonna be going
had.
on.
I thought that they had, if you were still talking about the driving around thing.
Yeah.
But again, I was getting, my source was like that Facebook group that was,
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
I actually called highway
Oh,
and they didn't know about it.
They did what, the loop of Gunderman and then the
But
dirt
I
road off.
remember
of
when they
Falls
started
Hill.
like an airing and they were using, you can picture it, they were using. Paved roads and dirt roads, so I'm sure they did, ball
Right.
filled dirt.
Yeah, that's where I saw that. They
Right.
were-
Yeah.
My guess is you could loop.
And I know they looped more than
But
once,
then they would
because
come-
eventually I realized the same vehicles were going by the house,
Yeah,
because it went on for a few hours.
yeah,
It's just,
yeah. There's one description of one of the cars didn't make a turn down in Vanessa.
Road turned and they did it, huh?
Yeah. didn't make a turn.
well, and you
Keeping that
just
up.
look at the amount of kids on Gunderman Road now that are out
Yeah,
Yeah.
playing and stuff, and it was just.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Did you get a copy of that? Ed? Of what?
I read it online. Oh, I see.
Anyway, I don't need to hold up what you've already done, I just,
I actually.
to me, it fits in the noise area. But I don't know if it's not on a particular plot of land, how
Yeah.
you would.
The one that set this off though, originally, I mean, like, they just broke everything, like, it's like, oh, we're just gonna do a daycare, and the next thing you knew, without telling anybody, they were putting out flyers, and have everybody just come and crash, and they're gonna have a band, and. That you wasn't even like past inspection, have people come in and they couldn't use supposedly the bathroom in the kitchen, like those weren't up to code yet, and so. People started seeing the flyers like, wait, what's going on? And then it's like, you can't do that, so I mean, it was like like any rule you could have broken doing this kind of stuff, like they kind of did, or. I guess it was more of the, we'll ask for forgiveness afterwards, or they got caught.
So maybe it'll never happen again, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's like, that was kind of the history of it, so I remember that. They just wanted to do a daycare, is what they said.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how this would apply. I mean, I don't know, but I wonder if a fee was required. Because otherwise it's not, it was probably not more than 8 hours, probably didn't go past 9 PM.
No, it wasn't at night, it was.
And then so they didn't utilize the professional grade speaker amplification system. So then when we were wondering if there was a fee, it was a ticketed event,
No idea.
Mm-mm.
yeah.
There's no place to really like. Stand set up. I mean, in the noise actually was the car, so then that's more of a,
Yeah,
I think police can get tickets for that, but like normal, So that's where it gets tough, cause.
Yeah, how much is a parking ticket these days? Cause if you're a fence for having
They paid to participate.
300 people on your property at $10 a head, I don't think you care if you get fined $1,000. I don't know where those numbers come from,
Those
but I will
numbers-
stay out of that part.
Well,
It's
you've
like,
got
the
the
penalties if you violate the law.
Yeah, I
This-
can have special events now, and I already have the insurance. This is incentivizing me.
So I'm just gonna check out your property, special events and that. This was definitely a guy edition.
I figure there's
I-
a legal precedent for it that
Well,
is not my world at all.
I had something very basic in here. I think Ulysses Law had a very basic penalties for offenses, a few sentences about certain fines, and he said, if you want to use this is from another town, and he just sent me, and I just copied and pasted, and
Yep.
nobody's.
Yeah, because like if you applied for, shouldn't there just be a fee to apply? Like you would think the fee would cost this much just
Yeah.
for an application.
I know.
Yeah, so we have it, so that's a good
So
question.
you pay 3,000 to apply and you get fined 1,500 if you violate the offense.
Town board hasn't set a fee for what an application would cost yet,
Okay.
but that would be part of the discussion. A few $100s.
mean, generally, it looks like there's a lot of information in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so. Certainly, there's no public hearing set or anything, this might be brought back up at next week's town board meeting too. It's definitely getting close, I mean, the comments. Last time were things that were just more like wordsmithing a little bit, like clarifying, are these for indoor events or outdoor events? So one concern that was brought up was, what if, a, like a theater opened up and it has 100 parking spaces and they're gonna host monthly shows there. Do they need to get they have to go through site plan approval? Do they then have to be required to get a special event permit for something that they've been approved to do? And or like the Danby Food and Drink, when they have their summer concert series, are they required to?
But they're not producing 75 cars.
They're probably not, right, and actually they're gonna be outdoors.
Exactly.
The thought was to sort of clarify that these are really for outdoor events, that if you have a space big enough to hold events, or like the VFW. We just discovered has a really big basement and they're interested in maybe hosting, like open mic nights or things like that. Zach's been.
I will say on some of their barbecue weekends, there's a lot of cars there.
Yeah, they get a lot of cars.
Sound levels are gonna be like sort of tweaked at, so. So there's still going to be another pass or two at this law before, or maybe before the public hearing schedule. So if there are other sort of thoughts that you have, please let me know. So again, these are temporary land uses, so what other things should the Board of Zoning Appeals, when they're reviewing the permit, be considering? If it's not covered in the law, great to know. Any other last thoughts on it?
No, I guess the only other thing I was wondering is in here, I just didn't get to read it all word for word. Is if there's, like similar to us doing a public hearing, if there's a requirement for notification of neighbors.
Let me see. I think we would just out of courtesy at the very least.
The impact on neighbors. I don't know if that's something else. That's the right one. Anyway, you could just note it and then,
Yeah, actually,
That's the only other
that's a
thing I
good
would-
comment. Here, I'm just gonna do a word file. A hearing doesn't come up, so should the requirement be for a hearing here? I think is a good question.
or just like a mailer, like. Notifying all the neighbors within
Yeah.
X distance that you're gonna hold this event on X days.
Get notification, okay?
Good idea.
yeah, that sounds.
Great, all right. If that's it for now, and
Do you have any other planner report?
yeah, I'll do a brief report here. So something exciting, the South Hill Trail extension that the town's been working on for decades, as you know, it's been making more and more headway. The groundbreaking ceremony is next Saturday.
Ooh.
If you look up, there's a friend of group, it's called the Paddington Valley Rail Trail. So it's not gonna be the South Hill extension because you're sort of going past what we know as South Hill. And Friends of Paddington Valley Rail Trail, and they have a website, it's great. So next Saturday, the 25th. Just Google it. Let's see what it is. I think it's from the morning to the afternoon. that's really exciting.
Oh, that's the same day as the daffodil days, isn't it?
10 AM to 1 PM. Yeah, groundbreaking ceremony marking the developmental stage of the Cottington Valley Rail Trail. 10:15 to 1 PM is the community work party clearing the walking path between Beaver Creek Road and Mid-All Road. Bring hand tools if you have not, if not, they have to borrow. So it's a little bit more of a work party organizing, but yeah, I'll plan to be out there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great effort. There's that. We are very close to rolling out the CDBG program, to begin accepting applications. We're working on the special event law. I'm good. Let's see. Sewer project update. We are, so there's a working group. And right now we're gonna be asking the DEC to clarify some of the grant if a different type of system can be looked at, a community absorption field, to put into the hamlet or both. And I think the town is just gonna have to make sort of a decision coming up pretty soon, just about whether or not to move forward with this project this time, or to modify it and to reapply. I could certainly go into a lot of detail and just sort of how we've sort of come to these sort of thinkings, but basically just it boils down to the numbers are just too high
Yeah.
for end users. And we're just trying to figure out a more cost effective way with the grant that's available. It's using old dollar amounts, and it's just today's dollar amounts are we're just not keeping up with that. So you'll hear more about this. I'll just keep providing an update, but right now we're waiting for the engineering company, Hunt Engineers, to provide the information to DEC to see if the grant, instead of the grant covering package plants, like little sort of water treatment plants, that they would be, if they could cover, the grant could cover basically like a big beach field.
Like what Newfield has?
Exactly. Yeah, and the initial response was no. But the engineer, really challenged that and said, well, if I provide information that shows that our phosphorus output is no worse or, just as good as this membrane bioreactor, which is just a really fancy package plant, then they said they'd be open to having the grant cover that. Then the question is, does the town want to have a big leach field like Newfield? It's limiting,
When we have water where we have water, like the creek runs through a lot of the hamlet, right? So
right.
I don't know.
And it just takes up a lot of area with 4 acres. I mean, it's just a big area versus if you get a package plant, you can put it in a very small
You
area.
put a leach field under a solar field?
Yeah,
I don't know.
but it's like uphill from it, isn't it?
So that's what this project is right now, is just the currently designed system just feels a little bit too expensive to move forward on. Could we look at more of a leach field, community leach field type system? Even if the DEC says okay, it's gonna come back to the town to say, do we wanna move forward or not? So that's that update. We're considering applying for money to fund a very basic feasibility study on the former Dobson property. So looking at different grants for that, and it's great we have a willing landowner to do that. Dryden is doing it right now, kind of modeling or looking at sort of how theirs is unrolling. And they had a very small pot of money too, but they're feeling very optimistic about the results. And David West, I consulted with him, he's really happy with how the results are coming out for that. So we might model something like that for Shane's property. We'll be talking about a feasibility study with the town board at their next meeting. And lastly, something really wild just happened. So New York State went through a whole process to update its wetland regulations. They've been in place since 1975, and they were just updated last year. They just got completely thrown out by courts, so they got completely annulled. And it's because they did not follow seeker. This is totally wild. Because you think that wetland protections, they're protecting like millions more acres of wetland. It did not comply with seeker. They failed their environmental review. And it's because, among many other things, but this is a really visual, is that the example was in urban areas, wetlands in urban areas are now classified much higher, and it might be more stricter to be developing on wetlands in urban areas. What might happen from this is there might be sprawl that happens. So basically it was, they did not consider thoroughly the impact the regulations would have on non-wetland areas. Just like, yeah, I mean, right,
Huh.
I took like almost the whole day just reading through this very dense court, as a 40-page court document, understanding it, because they survived the challenges, the due process, vagueness, and proper delegation of authority, formal authority. They survived, the law survived all these challenges to it, except seeker. And it's a really, I might try to write up a summary, because this board reviews seeker, does seeker all the time, and the town just did zoning amendments, and I had to go through seeker, and it's good to really, we really have to look at the environment, justify why is it not an environmental impact, and think about maybe how did that affect land, if you're looking at lands here for seeker, that's one thing, but how does this, impact out here, beyond sort of where the action is taking place. Similarly, and I'll just end on this, is that Seneca Meadows, there was a local law to close the landfill. That also just got invalidated less than a month ago, also because the town failed its seeker, because they did not take into account that by closing the landfill, there might be more greenhouse gas emissions from trucks driving that waste elsewhere. So it's just two very, very big court cases that are drilling into that both reviewing agencies failed seeker. So wow, I'll leave that there. But that's it for my plan.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means with the wetlands regulations. I don't really know what this means now.
If I may ask, Greg, so if the wetland rules failed seeker and were thrown out, where does that leave wetland review in New York State? For example, the discussion we had about, you had about wetlands on subdivisions.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we go back to the old, so we go back to the map-based approach? So right now it got changed to what's called a definition-based approach to regulating wetlands. We formerly had a map-based approach where if it's on the map, it's wetland. It's not on a map, it's not a wetland. Now it's definition-based. I don't know. I haven't asked Guy that, or like looked into what this means. If somebody walked in my door tomorrow with a building permit, or and they're impacting wetlands, I would probably just push it back to them and say, you need to show. I just haven't formulated my response on how I'm not sure yet. And how we're regulating wetlands now, or the DEC is regulating wetlands now.
Okay. All right, well, on that note, I will close the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a good month.
Wow.
Thank you.